Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mohini Ekadashi Katha. Mohini Ekadashi is not suitable for fasting, so fasting is observed next day on Rukmani Dwadashi. That is fasting for Mohini Ekadashi. The glories of Mohini Ekadashi, which occurs during the waxing moon in the month of Vaishak, are told in the Surya Puran. Once Maharaj Yudhishthir asked Lord Krishna, O Janardhan, pray tell me what is the name of the Ekadashi that occurs during the waxing moon in the month of Vaishak, April/May. Please describe unto me the most meritorious benefit one may receive by such observance. Shri Krishna replied, O most merciful King, son of Dharma personified, please hear me attentively as I describe unto you the story that the great sage Vashisht once told to Lord Ramchandra. One time long ago, Lord Ramchandra appealed to the sage Vashisht, O respected and knowledgeable sage, I am feeling such separation from Sita Devi, and I am therefore in the most honorific distress. She is the daughter of King Janak and is appalling my mind with intense hankering. Please kindly explain to me the great and merciful vow which I can follow and by which will mitigate all one's sinful reactions and distresses. The greatly realized sage Vashisht replied, My dear Ram, your intelligence is sharp and mixed with faith. Moreover, your question is beneficial in a way hitherto unknown to all humanity. Just by chanting and remembering your all auspicious qualities, all living entities can become purified and eligible to achieve liberation. Still, for the benefit of the public at large, I will describe to you about a great vow. O Lord Ram, the Ekadashi that occurs during the waxing moon in the month of Vaishak is famously renowned as Mohini Ekadashi and is most beneficial to all. By following this Ekadashi, all one's sinful reactions are annihilated and one receives great purity of speech and mind. One's network of illusion is vaporized and the grey veil of despair drifts away. Please hear attentively as I describe the topics regarding this wonderful, marvelous Ekadashi. There was once an exquisitely beautiful city named Bhadravati situated on the banks of the sacred river Saraswati, which was ruled by a king named Dyutimana. O Lord Ram, this king was born in the dynasty of Chandra or the moon, and he was tolerant and truthful and wore a broad smile. There was a pious and prosperous devotee of Lord Vishnu named Dhanapal who also lived in that city. He was a Vaishya by profession. From the benefit of the ordinary people, this devotee Dhanapal built many dharmshalas or guest houses, schools, temples of Lord Vishnu, charitable hospitals, wide roads and marketplaces. He also made arrangements for distributing water and foodstuffs. He dug wells for cool drinking water and ponds for clear water. He also built gardens for flower and fruits, and in this way he properly utilized his wealth for the benefit of all and thus successfully demonstrated the true meaning of his name. The pious devotee of Lord Vishnu, who was always peaceful, tolerant, determined and compassionate, engaged in devotional service to Vishnu, had 5 sons named Saman, Dyutiman, Medhavi, Sukriti, Drishtabuddhi. His son Drishtabuddhi was most sinful. He was extremely wicked and ill-natured, always engaged in bad association and having illicit connection with the unchaste women. He was also killing and torturing other living entities. In this way, he engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. Although the son of a most chaste and fortunate father, he squandered the wealth of his family and brought ill repute to his caste. He never showed respect to the demigods, guests, forefathers, or Brahmans. He was constantly engaged in thinking of committing sinful activities and thus lived a contemptible contemptible life. The sinful wretch misused all his father's wealth in many useless activities. He always ate abominable foodstuffs and remained always absorbed in drinking wine. One day, on seeing his shameless son walking in the public place with his hand on the shoulder of prostitute, Dhanapal became extremely hurt. On that very day, he was degraded from his position in caste society and pious community and became an object of hatred for everyone. After being thrown out from his father's house, Drishtabuddhi continued his sinful propensities with the money he received by selling his personal clothes and ornaments. Soon that also came to an end, and gradually, due to lack of sufficient food, his body became weak and skinny. He was most forlorn and presupposed wretch. On realizing that he had become poor, his so-called friends left him, condemning him on various pretexts. Drishtabuddhi was now full of anxiety. His words faltered and his mind was most horrifically agitated. He became afflicted with hunger, so he began to contemplate, what should I do now? Where should I go? And by what means will I survive? After meditating in this way, he decided there was no other means to earning his living by stealing. So with a desire to steal, he wandered through the city of Bhadravati. Sometimes the king's guard would arrest him, and after careful consideration of his father's greatness, they would release him. After being caught and released in this way many times, he was once again formally arrested for committing a special kind of theft. He was again taken to the king, who awarded him severe punishment. The king said, "O sinful, foolish creature, you cannot stay within this kingdom any more than you are the greatest, for you are the greatest sinner. I am releasing you for now, but you must leave this city and go wherever you so desire." Drishtabuddhi, afraid of being punished again, left the kingdom. He went far away and entered into a dense forest. There were creepers and vines, tall trees and moss in the jungle-like forest. Within the forest, he became so afflicted with hunger and thirst that he began to kill beasts and birds indiscriminately. For many years he wandered throughout the forest like a hunter, holding a bow and arrows in his hands and killing innocent animals and engaging in sinful activities. Drishtabuddhi was always miserable and anxious, but one day, due to some pious deeds, he arrived at the sacred ashram of the great sage and ascetic known as Kaundinya. It was the month of Vaishak, April-May. The great sage Kaundinya was just returning home after taking bath in the Ganges. At the time, by providence, Drishtabuddhi, who was very aggrieved by distress and lamentation, happened to touch a drop of water falling from sage's cloth. Drishtabuddhi was immediately relieved of his sinful reactions. With folded hands and great humility, he said to sage Kaundinya, "O great Brahmana, I am the most sinful person. There is no sin that I have not committed. Now please instruct me about a topmost type of atonement which a wretched person like myself can easily perform. As a result of committing unlimited sinful activities till now, I have been bereft of my house, wealth, relatives and friends. I am drowning in the ocean of mental agony." After hearing these statements of Drishtabuddhi, the great sage Kaundinya, feeling distressed by seeing others' distress, said, "I am telling you a sublime method by which all your sinful reactions can be easily refuted. In a very short time, please hear me attentively. Mohini ekadashi, which occurs during the waxing moon or the growing moon or the Shukla Paksh moon in the month of Vaishak, April-May, totally destroys the mountain of sinful reactions as big as Mount Sumeru, which have been accumulated from many lifetimes. Therefore, you should faithfully observe this ekadashi." Hearing these words from great sage, Drishtabuddhi became joyful and started to observe the ekadashi properly, according to the rules and regulations instructed by the sage. O best of kings, by observing this Mohini ekadashi, the most sinful Drishtabuddhi became devoid of all sinful reactions, and after assuming a divine body, he returned to the all-auspicious abode of Lord Vishnu by riding on the back of Garuda. O Ramchandra, this vow certainly removes all kinds of illusions and the darkness of ignorance. Any piety accumulated by taking bath in the holy rivers, giving in charity, and performance of sacrifice cannot be compared with the piety one attains by observing the Mohini ekadashi. Ayam Tatsat. Hare Krishna.